Game Show here at the Moncrief Club, live from the Amon G. Carter Stadium. I'm your host, Jules Conti, joined by TCU's athletic director, Jeremiah Donati. The Frogs improved their record to 3-2 after a road win last weekend versus Kansas. It was a 38-27 victory for the Horned Frogs, and tonight we have a kickoff time of 6:30 p.m. versus the Houston Cougars. It's a Friday night game. The Big 12 has been looking and pushing for more Friday night games. It's nationally covered by ESPN. How are you feeling about this Friday versus Saturday?
Well, excuse me. Well, it gives you a chance. National audience. You said ESPN. Both ESPN and Fox are two partners. I think you're going to see more Friday night games because it's a unique window. Saturday's kind of crowded, right? There's so many games on, and this is a chance. So the trade-off is, national television, which we're excited about. I think we'll have a great crowd, but you do have some people that have kid stuff and high school football, and so it's a little bit. There's a little bit of a trap, but we're really excited. Anytime you get a chance to play an ESPN night game, prime time, it's a big deal. So our guys are pretty fired up.
We heard from head coach Sonny Dykes in his last presser about his thoughts on playing on a Friday night. So we're going to throw it to him for a little bit to kind of see how he's feeling about playing on a Friday night. So Sunny touched upon a lot of the similar things that you were talking about, how there are both pros and cons to playing on a Friday night. But this week specifically, we got lucky because a lot of these high school games fell on Thursday. So there's a lot more free, and our community is back and they're here and they're excited for the game as well. But with being the only team playing tonight and it being nationally televised, we actually have 10 NFL teams that are being represented by recruiters here tonight to watch our Horned Frogs play and go against the Houston Cougars. So what does that mean for the program and the school as a whole to have NFL interest in some of our guys?
Well, they get a chance to be here, right? Because they get, like you said, they got to be here a day early. So, I mean, that's again back to the trade-off. We have a number of big recruits here as well that wouldn't have been able to be here otherwise. So, anytime you get 10 NFL guys that are coming to look at your, because that's what it's about. If you ask anyone on our roster, what's the goal? They want to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal for them. So all in all, it's a net positive. But I am glad that not every game's a Friday night.
Yeah, for that. How are you feeling about that win last week, and how big was that for our program?
That was huge. And I think, it looks like our team's turned the corner. I mean, obviously, with what happened in the second half versus UCF and obviously what happened with SMU, we were down. And I think all of us expected to be in a better spot after that. We had to kind of flush that away and move forward. And so I like what I saw with the defense. We got to remember, Andy's defense, that was only game 5. Sometimes these things take a little while. We have big expectations around here, and people don't like it, including myself, when it doesn't show up in the win column. But like what I saw last week, our back was against the wall. Kansas's back was against the wall. It was a great environment up there at Arrowhead, and we took care of business. So really optimistic with this team, this leadership, and this maturity that we can get it back on track and do it here today.
So this is our first game back home after 2 weeks on the road, but we also are honoring our TCU Hall of Fame class of 2024 in between the first and second quarter. We have TCU football's very own Marcus Cannon, who is going to be joining us on the show a little bit later tonight. But can you tell us a little bit that goes into the behind the scenes aspect of celebrating these Hall of Fame players?
Well, it's the every kid when they come here at TCU, this is kind of this is one of the goals, right? To get in the TCU Hall of Fame. There's obviously a lot of tradition and history, and it's a big deal. So last night to honor 7, and including Tut Bartson, who was went in posthumously. It's fun to see them on the other side. I remember Marcus. I got here the year after Marcus left. So I only met him one time previously when he was, when he was leaving. I barely knew him. He was a kid.
Yeah.
And now he's this grown man. He has a wonderful NFL career. So, but Tom Hoagie, who's a good friend, sat next to me last night, and just a fun night for all of them, for all the inductees. It's so fun to see their families and see their perspective of TCU now on the other side. They'll come up and say, "Oh, now I get it. Now I know why you were riding me about going to study hall or whatever it is." And so, just a fun night overall, and had a lot of former coaches there. Coach Patterson was there. Jeff Mittie was there. Jim Schlossnagle was there to support their inductees. So it was fun to see them as well.
Well, thank you for joining us once again for our weekly pregame show. We're excited for the Frogs to kick off once again 6:30 p.m. tonight against the Houston Cougars. We'll be back in a little bit for some offensive and defensive expectations. But for now, we're going to hear a few words from one of our sponsors.
What do you see when you look up at the clouds? At Richard's Rainwater, we see the greatest source of pure, delicious water looking right back down at us. We've invented a simple, powerful technology to collect and bottle rainwater. Our process begins with the rain. When clouds become saturated, droplets fall from the sky. Rainfall is a naturally cleansing event. During the first few minutes, the raindrops clean the atmosphere and wash away any dirt or debris from surface areas. At this cleanest point in the rain cycle, we collect the pure raindrops into large storage vessels. Then, we use a simple, yet effective combination of ozone and microfiltration to ensure our rainwater surpasses the highest drinking water standards. We pour the pure, refreshing rainwater into glass bottles and aluminum cans, packaging as infinitely renewable as the water itself. Richard's Rainwater is building a network of collection systems across the country to ensure our rainwater is local everywhere. The purest, best-tasting water comes from the sky. Richard's Rainwater, sip the sky.
Welcome to the Squire Shop.
We are locally owned and operated since 1994.
We specialize in the finest men's clothing that the market has to offer at affordable prices with unbelievable service.
We do custom clothing all the way to more casual, Peter Millar, Johnny O, kind of everything. Well, my dad's the owner, so I've been around retail my whole life. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's the best boss I'll ever have. I know that.
We love our TCU community. They have been so good to us. Come see us today. Go Frogs!
Energy does everything for us. It's all-encompassing.
We're all benefiting and affected from it.
And it is something that we all need to know about.
It is the glue that holds everything together.
TCU is powering what matters, our future.
We don't just talk about what's needed, we focus on results.
The Ralph Lowe Energy Institute is creating a world where energy is affordable, sustainable, and reliable.
The TCU Horned Frogs are back home after 2 weeks on the road. Their record now stands at 3-2 for the season and 1-1 for conference play. Before we kick off against the Houston Cougars, let's talk about how our team played these last 2 weeks. First, starting defensively, we have seen the coaches have been making some adjustments with some new players seeing the field for the first time. To start off, Marcus Steele, a redshirted freshman on the defensive line, had his first career start with the Horned Frogs. He had one pass breakup and one quarterback hurry. On top of that, Ben Taylor Whitfield also had his first start of the season. Now to some familiar faces. Abe Cameron had 6 solo tackles between the 2 games versus SMU and Kansas last weekend. Channing Canada had 5 solo tackles between the 2 games. Johnny Hodges, team captain, tied for the team best honors with 8 solo tackles and 1 quarterback hurry at Kansas last weekend. Jamel Johnson is leading the team currently with 40 tackles. And Lamarian James, let's not forget, his game-ending one-handed interception at Kansas, which is his first as a Horned Frog and 3rd in his career. The defense is not the only ones on fire, though. Our offense has been really showing up recently. We're going to see some highlights for them before we talk about some of our star players.
Everything has changed. Hoover with the dart to Savion Williams, and Savion north of the 30. He is big, he is physical, he is 24 yards on that catch, just shy of a season long of 26. How about it, threading the needle? Great point. Dominic Johnson, the former Arkansas Razorback, now checks in. He's got the longest run of the season for the Frogs at 20 yards. And there's picked out of the air, Jake Besh. Jack Besh to the house. And that is touchdown number 5. 35 yards, and Besh is one of the surprise players in college football this season.
In the misdirection, ways to be able to get your run game started for TCU is sometimes adding in a little trickeration. He's been dead on accurate so far.
TCU trying to answer. Cook on the ground, and Cook does. Sizzling into the end zone. And the Horned Frogs an extra point away from tying this one up. Looking that way, grown man catch. Jack Besh flexing on him. It's taken America a little while to get to know Jack Besh. They will know his name. This is a boomer. Backing up, Richardson retreating to the 10. TCU with the big block. Richardson still up. Oh, the cutback. Not to be denied. J.P. Richardson to the house. '24 ESPN 300 class, so a big-time recruit. Hoover stays alive. He's got McAllister. How did he get that off? How does McAllister stay up and keep cruising? Unreal. Hoover, McAllister. Do you believe it?
Quarterback Josh Hoover is at 8 straight games of at least 20 completions and 2 touchdown passes, which leads the nation. He has the longest streak by a Big 12 quarterback since the 2010 to 2011 season. On top of that, Jack Besh leads the nation in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns versus Power 4 opponents. He is ranked in the top 3 nationally in receiving yards with 647 and touchdown catches with 6. On top of that, he is tied for 7th nationally in receptions with 35. He has topped 100 yards in the last 4 of 5 games. Now, J.P. Richardson had a crazy punt return. He was named Big 12 Player of the Week after the 89-yard punt return, 4th longest in TCU Horned Frog history, for a touchdown. Eric McAllister had a 59-yard touchdown catch at Kansas and recorded his second 100-yard game with 4 receptions. Jeremy Payne, true freshman, had a 32-yard run, which is TCU's longest carry this season, and had a career-best game of 65 yards rushing with 8 attempts. We heard from Jack Besh about how him and Hoover have been gelling together on the field, and boy, has it been very clear that they have been the most dynamic duo so far.
Yeah, no, I just first want to give all the glory to God, all the praise to God. You know, right now is the closest I've ever been with him. You know, I can't say anything else, but this is just him working through me. You know, I'm just here physically doing what I'm doing, but God has blessed me with so many opportunities. He's given me so many chances, and he's helped me make the most of them. And yeah, and Hoover's playing out of his mind. You know, in my opinion, he's the best QB in the country. I wouldn't want to be catching the rock from anybody else.
The real turning point of last game was holding Kansas to just a field goal after Josh Hoover's interception, and then on top of that, following up with J.P. Richardson punt return for a touchdown. But overall, TCU's wide receivers have caught 10 passes in the red zone, tying for a national lead. The 23 receptions per game by TCU wide receivers are the most among Power Conference in the program. We heard from Frog State reporter Mallory James Mahoney, who is out in the field talking to some fans about the atmosphere going into tonight's game against Houston.
Hey there, Frog fans. It's Mallory James Mahoney, and I'm coming to you from the field at the Carter. And it's Friday Night Lights, guys. I mean, we have had 2 Friday night games so far this season, but this is our first home game on a Friday, and it's awesome. The energy is great. Everyone's done with work and classes, and we're ready for a game day. So it's also a little hot out today, which isn't the best. You know, it's October. It should be fall weather already, but we're dealing with it. It's going to be about 80 so degrees around kickoff, so our boys have got it. We're going to cheer them on, and it's going to be a great game. Go Frogs! Hey there, Frogs fans. It's Mallory James Mahoney. I am here with Nick and Blake out in the tailgates. and we are going to talk a little bit about what's going on today. So first of all, we all know it's a Friday night game, first Friday night home game of the season. So did you guys go to Friday Night Lights in high school?
Yeah, I went to a few games, played in a couple.
Only if I was playing, but yes.
So have you been long-time Horned Frog fans?
Well, we own a business here in Fort Worth, so yeah, absolutely, we support the Frogs. Go Frogs.
Yeah, go Frogs. Been a fan since, I'm going to say mid-90s or so, yeah.
Wow, that's a long-time fan. Thank you so much, guys, and go Frogs.
Go Frogs. Go Frogs.
It may be a Friday night, but the TCU Horned Frog fans are ready for the kickoff, being back in the Carter. When we come back after a quick word from one of our sponsors, we're going to look into the Big 12 as a whole and then look into our opponent, the Houston Cougars.
We're lucky to have a collective that's as strong and as powerful as the Flying T Club. It's a big deal for us. It is a game changer. You know, I would just encourage any fans out there to support it. Everyone asks me, what's the biggest priority? And I say, NIL is big. Please jump on board, show these student athletes how much they mean to you. The thing about NIL is I think there's a right and a wrong way to do it, and the Flying T Club's doing it the right way. Let's keep winning. Join the Flying T Club today.
Energy does everything for us. It's all-encompassing.
We're all benefiting and affected from it.
And it is something that we all need to know about.
It is the glue that holds everything together.
TCU is powering what matters, our future.
We don't just talk about what's needed, we focus on results.
The Ralph Lowe Energy Institute is creating a world where energy is affordable, sustainable, and reliable.
What do you see when you look up at the clouds? At Richards Rainwater, we see the greatest source of pure, delicious water looking right back down at us. We've invented a simple, powerful technology to collect and bottle rainwater. Our process begins with the rain. When clouds become saturated, droplets fall from the sky. Rainfall is a naturally cleansing event. During the first few minutes, the raindrops clean the atmosphere and wash away any dirt or debris from surface areas. At this cleanest point in the rain cycle, we collect the pure raindrops into large storage vessels. Then, we use a simple, yet effective combination of ozone and microfiltration to ensure our rainwater surpasses the highest drinking water standards. We pour the pure, refreshing rainwater into glass bottles and aluminum cans, packaging as infinitely renewable as the water itself. Richards Rainwater is building a network of collection systems across the country to ensure our rainwater is local everywhere. The purest, best-tasting water comes from the sky. Richards Rainwater, sip the sky.
At the beginning of the season, we heard from head coach Sonny Dykes about how the Big 12 is the most competitive college conference. Well, to go off of that, there are 6 teams in this conference that have no conference losses so far, and only 4 other with 1. It is early in the season, but we are already seeing how competitive this conference truly is. As of right now, BYU leads the conference with a 5-0 record and 2-0 in conference play. Next are Colorado and Texas Tech, who are both 4-1 on the season and 2-0 in conference play. TCU currently sits 9 with our 3-2 record, 1-1 in conference play, and the Houston Cougars, who we will go against tonight, are 1-4 on the season and 0-2 in conference play. We heard from head coach Sonny Dykes about how he feels going against our opponent tonight.
Yeah, better football team than probably people think they are. Took Oklahoma to really the last play of the game in Norman. Really you could make the argument they physically dominated the offense, the line of scrimmage on offense and defense. Oklahoma had a hard time really getting much going against them. They're a top 30 defense. They do a good job stopping the run. They're big up front, kind of based out of an odd front, attacking, kind of trying to penetrate, get you on your heels a little bit. They do a nice job to get you in 3rd and long by, blitzing. You're going to see everything. You're going to see field pressure, some boundary stuff, going to see corner blitz. You're going to see a lot of different looks against them. And then offensively, they got a lot of speed. Good skilled players, a lot of speed, a couple of different quarterbacks that they're playing right now. We're not exactly sure how that's going to play out. And then 2 elite returners, one of the best punt returners in college football and one of the best kick returners as well. So a team that's a very challenging football team and a team that's has played really well at times. I've been impressed with how much Their offensive line has improved the last several weeks, so it'll be a big test for us.
Dana Holgerson, who was the Houston Cougars head coach last year, is now a TCU Horned Frog as a part of our special consultant team. On top of that, Donovan Smith, a senior quarterback for the Houston Cougars, right now has 681 passing yards and 2 touchdowns on the season. Stacy Snead, a junior running back, is top player in rushing yards with 238 yards gained and only 21 lost. On top of that, a touchdown. Stephen Johnson, junior wide receiver, is their top receiving player with 174 yards and 1 touchdown. And Michael Batten, a senior linebacker, is their top defensive player with 36 total tackles, 2 out of 7 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. Their defense is on fire. And we're going to have to go around the challenges to make sure that our TCU Horned Frogs will come out on top tonight. Up next, we're going to talk to TCU 2024 class Hall of Famer Marcus Cannon, who's now played with the Patriots this past season in the NFL. We'll be right back.
Energy does everything for us. It's all-encompassing.
We're all benefiting and affected from it.
And it is something that we all need to know about.
It is the glue that holds everything together.
TCU is powering what matters, our future.
We don't just talk about what's needed, we focus on results.
The Ralph Lowe Energy Institute is creating a world where energy is affordable, sustainable, and reliable.
What do you see when you look up at the clouds? At Richards Rainwater, we see the greatest source of pure, delicious water looking right back down at us. We've invented a simple, powerful technology to collect and bottle rainwater. Our process begins with the rain. When clouds become saturated, droplets fall from the sky. Rainfall is a naturally cleansing event. During the first few minutes, the raindrops clean the atmosphere and wash away any dirt or debris from surface areas. At this cleanest point in the rain cycle, we collect the pure raindrops into large storage vessels. Then, we use a simple, yet effective combination of ozone and microfiltration to ensure our rainwater surpasses the highest drinking water standards. We pour the pure, refreshing rainwater into glass bottles and aluminum cans, packaging as infinitely renewable as the water itself. Richards Rainwater is building a network of collection systems across the country to ensure our rainwater is local everywhere. The purest, best-tasting water comes from the sky. Richards Rainwater, sip the sky.
Welcome to the Squire Shop.
We are locally owned and operated since 1994.
We specialize in the finest men's clothing that the market has to offer at affordable prices with unbelievable service.
We do custom clothing all the way to more casual, Peter Millar, Johnny O, kind of everything. Well, my dad's the owner, so I've been around retail my whole life. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's the best boss I'll ever have. I know that.
We love our TCU community. They have been so good to us. Come see us today. Go Frogs!
Tonight, I have the honor of being joined by Marcus Cannon, TCU football player of the class of 2010. You were part of the O-line that protected Andy Dalton, who is now a Carolina Panther. When you were here in 2009, your offensive line held the team to 0 sacks, and then in 2010, only let 9 sacks go. How did that really set the tone for the team that year?
It really set the tone. As big guys, we really wanted to give up 0 sacks a year, but you know that those 9, we were very happy with them because it was the top of the nation, and it means that we were taking care of our quarterback. So if we're taking care of our quarterback as big guys, that's always a good thing.
How does it feel that you're part of the line that protected quarterbacks as like Andy Dalton, and then later in your career, Tom Brady, one of the greatest there ever was?
It's awesome. For an offensive line, it's always great to have a good quarterback, and both Andy was a great quarterback and a great leader. And well, we're seeing that now. He's starting with the Panthers right now. Yeah. But the ultimate leader is Tom Brady, and we went a little further than just doing our job. We knew we had to protect him because we were protecting the team. We're protecting our record. We were protecting the franchise.
Yeah. So your NFL career was 11 seasons long, but in your first 9, you played in AFC Championship games, as well as, I'm sorry, I was going to say 4, but you corrected me earlier, 5 Super Bowls.
Yes, 5. It was 9 or 8. I said 9 last night, but I don't even remember. But it was a lot. It was like the whole beginning of my career was going to AFC Championship games, which does bring a lot of stress. After the first couple, you're like, all right, well, if we don't make it to the AFC Championship game or a Super Bowl, it's kind of like felt like a failure of a season. Um, but yes, I've been blessed to go to 5 Super Bowls. We won 3 of them, and it was just such a great ride. It was so fun.
One Super Bowl in specific that I wanted to highlight was Super Bowl 51, where you versed the Atlanta Falcons, but you guys ended that game 34-28. It was an overtime comeback, the first overtime in Super Bowl history, and the largest Super Bowl comeback in history. Can you just tell me about that game?
Oh man, 28-3. That's what every Atlanta Falcons hates hearing. I just remember going in the locker room at halftime, and just the feeling of everybody of knowing like we've been making so many mistakes, and if we all just do our job, if everybody does exactly what they're supposed to be doing, then we're going to come out of it. Belichick and Brady, all they kept talking about was we're messing up here, we're messing up here. If we just do the right thing, and then everybody started doing the right thing, we banded together, and things start happening. But it's funny I say everybody started doing the right thing because on the last block I actually had a mental error. I was supposed to cut the guy, and instead I pushed him, and it was almost a holding. Some people call it a holding, but it wasn't a holding. But that was a great win. It felt good to come back and win.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And congratulations on such an incredible season or time in the NFL in general. But you're being honored into the TCU Hall of Fame class of 2024. Do you have any career highlights or favorite memories from being a TCU Horned Frog?
I'd have to say playing in the Rose Bowl. That was amazing, and I still think about that and the teammates I had. But a lot of it is just remembering the friendships and the camaraderie we had here with the guys at TCU. There's so many memories of us, going across campus and jumping in the rec center pool. We hung out. We were like family. There was never one of us alone. We were always in a group and always hanging out because that's what we were. We were family, and that's what made us so good.
Speaking of that family atmosphere, which is something that TCU really highlights within our athletics, is there any one person who really influenced your time here at TCU?
Wow. There's a lot of guys. The older guys before me, guys like Matty Linder, Herb Taylor, Andy, you can go Jake Kirkpatrick, Bart Johnson, Curtis Clay. There's so many guys my age, older than me. Even some of the young guys came in like Tank Carter and made an impact on, just the way I did some things day to day. We had so many great guys before me and, after me and during the time that I was playing here. I would just say them all of them.
What does TCU mean to you?
TCU means, TCU reminds me to work hard. When I went here, everybody always looked down on us as a team. Small school, 3 2-star athletes. But, when I learned to work hard from my parents, but when I got here, I really learned how to work hard. And I learned that you had to work hard for everything. And if you wanted somebody to believe that you were as good as you say you were, then you had to prove it. For TCU, that's what TCU means to me. You got to prove it, you got to work hard, and you got to show people that you have what it takes.
Going off of that, what's your score prediction for tonight's game, watching the TCU Horned Frogs back in action here at the Carter?
Score prediction, I'd have to say just we're going to win.
We're
going to win. Hopefully we score a whole bunch of touchdowns, running touchdowns, because that makes the offensive line happy.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today's show with me. I really appreciate being able to honor you and highlight you for all of our viewers back home. I'm excited for this It's between the first and second quarter, but to be able to honor you and the 6 other athletes who are being inducted into TCU's Hall of Fame. So congratulations once again, and thank you so much for joining
Awesome.
me.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to hear from Frogs Today student reporter Mallory James Mahoney, who is out in the field and asking some of our fans about their score predictions for tonight's game.
Hey there, Frog fans. I'm Mallory James Mahoney, and I'm coming to you from just outside the Amon G. Carter Stadium, and I want to give you my thoughts on this week's game. So, on paper, TCU should win this game fairly comfortably, especially considering that Houston has failed to score a single point in their last 2 matchups, suffering shutouts against both Iowa State and Cincinnati. This could be the perfect opportunity for TCU's defense to build some confidence. Houston has been prone to turnovers, and the Horned Frogs' defense should have plenty of chances to capitalize on that. Offensively, I'd like to see TCU take some deep shots early to help loosen up the running game. Moving the ball shouldn't be an issue, but we need to eliminate costly penalties that can stall drives. With a huge game against Utah looming over us next week, TCU cannot afford to overlook Houston. They need to handle business tonight and focus on what could be the biggest test of the season. So, come on, Horned Frogs, we got it. Let's cheer on our boys tonight. And my final score prediction, I think I'm going to go with 24-10 in favor of the Horned Frogs. Go Frogs.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the pregame show, live from the Moncrief Stadium here at Amon G. Carter Stadium. I'm your host, Jules Conti, and if you haven't already, follow us on both of our social media platforms. Both our X and Instagram are Frogs Today. On top of our pregame show, we also do a State of the Frog Coaches show with head coach Sonny Dykes that airs every Tuesday at 7 p.m. And then our Frogs Today show, which covers all TCU athletics, airs every Friday morning at 10 a.m. We're going to leave you guys off today with some highlights from the Hall of Fame banquet that happened last night. Once again, the Frogs kick off at 6:30 tonight versus the Houston Cougars. Go Frogs.